I have a question. What are your views regarding control of anger and aggression? How can you control that?
I think firstly, I myself also, when I was young, very short temper. Then, see, uh, getting more experience, then my mind becoming much more calmer. So here, firstly, I think you should realize the anger may bring some kind of energy, short moment, right, short period. But that energy is actually blind energy. And anger really destroy your, how to say, the part of your brain which can judge the, right or wrong. So when we fully sort of develop anger, we can't see the reality. So that energy, more bold, right? But that energy is blind energy. So, in order to face the problem, our method should be, as I mentioned earlier, realistic. In order to carry realistic method, you must know the reality. When we look the reality, when we investigate the reality, our mind should be calm. Otherwise, we cannot see the thing objectively. So, in order to use human intelligence properly, our mind should be calm. So, thinking this line, anger, you see, firstly, destroy your inner peace. Secondly, destroy your ability to investigate the reality. So, you think this line, then once you have clear sort of awareness, anger is no use, only destruction. Then you yourself become a little bit sort of distance from anger. Usually our problem is we consider anger part of our mind, attachment part of our mind. So we consider these are something normal. According, I think, your tradition, India's tradition, a lot of explanation about the system of the mind or emotion, not only Buddhism, but also in Hinduism. The tradition where practice of samadhi, practice of vipassana, there's a lot of explanation about mind, about emotion. So it is important, you see, clear awareness. Some of the emotions are very, very destructive. Some of the emotions are very, very sort of constructive. So make clear, some kind of clear map about emotion. That's important. Then, once we use our common sense more realistic way or through calm mind, then things quite sort of complicated, very complex. So once we saw that, the patience automatically come. If you look just one point, you want that without seeing the whole picture, then impatience develop. Once we saw things are not that easy, a lot of complex sort of situation. Once we realize that holistic picture, then your way of approach also becoming more realistic. Then these kinds of impatience, or too much impatience and frustrations will reduce. Clear? Do you agree or disagree? If you agree, then think more. If you disagree, then I won't talk further. Next question.
Thank you. Kanishka Malik, please.
Your Holiness, my question is a political one.
It's concerning China's actions in Tibet. Now, considering that over the last 4 or 5 years, more and more countries, especially Western countries, have become dependent on China for economic purposes, do you still think that the West will show any considerable opposition to China's actions in Tibet?
Of course, since last March, now I handed over all my political authority or responsibility to hand it over to elected political leadership. Although 2001, we already achieved elected political leadership. Since then, my position is semi-retired position. Now this year, 10th March, now I handed over all my legitimate authority, and not only I retired from the political responsibility, but also, you see, almost 4-century-old Tibetan tradition, Dalai Lama institution is head of both political power as well as spiritual. That I voluntarily, happily, proudly ended. So now we fully committed genuine democratic system. So I think your question's answer, I think best come from elected political leadership. If you have opportunity to meet him. Now I'm speaking here, I'm answer or response to you as a ordinary Tibetan. Firstly, you see, Tibetan issue is also issue of moral issue and issue for truth or justice. As a result, more and more Chinese, particularly intellectuals, writers, thinkers, artists, of course, besides Chinese Buddhists, more and more Chinese now really showing their concern and really showing their solidarity. So this is the really hopeful sign. Ultimately, Tibetan problem must solve between Chinese and Tibetan. Of course, outside world can influence, can pursue, but real sort of solution must be found between Tibetan and Chinese. So the support from the Chinese community is very essential. Now say, last 2 years, we noticed about 1,000 articles in Chinese language wrote by Chinese. All 1,000 articles fully support about our middle wave approach. Very much critical view about the Chinese government policy. So these are really hopeful signs. The other hand is a Tibetan spirit inside Tibet. Now 60 years passed. 3-4 generations now are passed. But Tibetan spirit even stronger. Like that. And then China itself. Last 60 years, I usually used to describe China, last 60 years of China, 4 eras. Mao Zedong's era, which very much emphasizes ideology. Then Deng Xiaoping era, don't care about ideology. More important is money. People should become more rich. So in order to become richer, Deng Xiaoping even they sacrifice the pure socialist sort of system. So now today, many people consider China no longer as a socialist country, but capitalist authoritarian country, like that. The communist ideology, Marxist ideology, now gone. So today's Chinese communist is capitalist communist. Quite strange. So big change. Now then, Jiang Zemin era. Jiang Zemin saw the new reality. Besides working class people, the middle class people, and billionaire or millionaire, these also become very influential in the society. So Communist Party no longer party of the working class people. So his idea, the three represents, all classes represented by Communist Party, like that. Then Hu Jintao era, it's a new system, new sort of policy, now also create like rich and poor, and certain rights which working class people enjoy many decades. Now these also now becoming difficult. So he emphasizes promoting or develop harmonious society. Although I think 10 years passed, more or less failed that goal. More problems, more divisions now in China. So there are a lot of problems. So the People's China, because of the People's Republic of China, actually much changed. I took Tibetan responsibility, political responsibility, in 1951. So now, 2011, much changed. When I was in Peking, 1954 and 55, I received a lot of lectures, including Chairman Mao himself. So I very much attracted about Marxism. So since then, as far as socio-economy theory is concerned, I still Marxist. But meantime, I totally against the authoritarian system. Many European communists, many European Marxists, the same view. As far as socio-economy theory, the Marxists, they believe Marxism. But from Lenin, too much emphasis on power, ruthless, and create whole state like state of police state. Now today in China, recently, I met some, Taiwanese, my friend. Nowadays, there's a lot of tourists from China coming to Taiwan, and also some businessmen making business. So I asked my Taiwanese friend, what kind of impression those Chinese who come from mainland China? And then that Taiwanese told me, some of these Chinese who come from mainland China, after they spend a longer period in Taiwan, then they express, now in here, that means in Taiwan, here, no atmosphere of fear. In mainland China, everywhere fear. So the political system, as Chinese Prime Minister, many occasions publicly expressed that China need political change, political reform. And even one case, he mentioned that China really need Western style of democracy. That person, not just ordinary intellectuals, he, Prime Minister, he expressed that way. So therefore, things are changing. We are not seeking independence, separate from China. For our own interest, as far as economic development is concerned, we Tibetan also, very much want more economic development. For that reason, remain within the People's Republic of China. It is our own interest for development, provided they should give us meaningful autonomy so that we can preserve our own unique culture, unique language, and rich Buddhist tradition. And we can take sort of full care about environment. So then there is mutual benefit, like that. So many Chinese, that way of approach fully support. So, and then West, in spite that sort of little sort of they hesitant, from time to time, they always raise human rights issue, religious freedom, particularly they mention about Tibet. It's quite encouraging, like that.
Thank you, Your Holiness. The question, Your Holiness, is, do you support the way of protest put forward by Anna Hazare, the style of protest?
Some people little sort of the reservation, the way handling. But you see, the objective of that movement is, you see, they reminds Indian people, including Indian government, Indian politicians, the corruption is very, very serious. That I think very right. I also, you see, often, you see, expressing now the corruption. Some other countries, like China, no religious faith, those corrupted people, they don't care about moral principle, about God. It's understandable. Only money or power. India, I think those corrupted people, I think one way in their home, I think statue of, Shivaji or Ganesh is there, must be there. So every morning, worship. So a person who believes God, then their practice don't care about God's sort of wish. It's really a contradiction. So the other day, the Gandhi's birthday, the 2nd October, someone is asked me about that special day. I told him, I responded, now Gandhiji, everywhere in India, and not only India, but some other places also, now very much sort of showing respect. If you truly respect and love Gandhiji, then you must practice, you must implement Gandhiji's sort of concept. Then Gandhiji very much emphasizes importance of non-violence. So economy field corruption is also form of violence. If you truly believe non-violence, you must stop these sort of wrongdoing. And then furthermore, in this country, according to some people, the amount of money which sort of which created by corruption, that amount of money spent on this, within the country, the poorer section of people's health, education in these fields, some significant sort of a change. Some say that. If that's the truth, then really, these corruptions, really, for national interest, not only image, but in practical level, very, very harmful. So, I usually is telling these days, there's only the two choice. Either believe God and believe karma, and should be sincere, honest, truthful. Or deny God and make a lot of money, including corruptions. Only two choice. Believe half, believe God, half don't care about justice or honesty, these things, a lot of making a lot of money through corruptions. It's illogical. Illogical. So that's my view. So you, younger generation, it is easy to criticize other people. But the thing which you are pointing out, criticize, that you must be, you yourself must be pure, honest, truthful. That's very important. Clear? I think at this moment, you have no opportunity to use some corruptions. When you get some jobs and your position a little bit sort of higher and higher, then now today sort of some kind of cancer of the world, that's corruption. Eventually, you might get that sort of disease. So you must be very cautious, right? Must be determined. I will never sort of involve corruptions. So sometimes I sort of, I jokingly expressing communist authority, not only communist but other authoritarian sort of system. These people are great master of art of hypocrisy. Recently, I met some Chinese from mainland China. Very nice person. I often, nowadays, you see meeting Chinese from mainland China. Some are very, very religious-minded. Some are really, you see, they seek truth. So I told them, I spent 9 years with Chinese communist forces from 1951 to 59. So I also get some education how to act hypocrisy. And then, as I mentioned earlier, 1959, April, I reached India. I truly liberated from practice of hypocrisy. Now this country, very open. Really, it's wonderful. So meantime, as I mentioned earlier, I think if you carry some wrongdoing, then this hypocrisy, telling lie, automatically involved. Then that person, not a genuine follower of Mahatma Gandhiji. All those Indian great leaders, particularly 1956 when I came India, including Dehradun at that time, 1956. They are truly follower of Gandhiji, freedom fighter. They are clothed very poor. They speak truthful, fearlessly. That kind of spirit, after India get now, nearly 70 years, still you need Gandhian freedom fighters sort of spirit. Truthful, honest, fearless, selfishness. That's very, very important. Although I think recent sort of world economic crisis happened in India, quite stable, wonderful. Now still, you see, India, the most populated democratic country. So India must succeed. So depend on Indian people. Of course, leaders also very important. Ultimately, India belongs to Indian people, not this party or that party. When I was recently, I was in America, I expressed America belongs to about 300 million Americans, not Republicans, not Democratic Party. As well as China. People's Republic of China belongs to 1.3 billion Chinese people, not party. So that's the main reason. I also believe Tibet belongs to Tibetan people. So they govern people by people themselves. The best way is democratic system. Elect by the people, freely. Then that rule the country. And always accountable. to the people. And the people, when majority of the people lose faith, then through election, change. That's a very good system. So India, I think, compare neighboring states, I think last now nearly 70 years, I think very, very stable country, very successful. In spite a lot of sort of the drawbacks, India, basically democracy, deeply rooted, and religious harmony, also very good, overall picture. Some pockets here and there, some problems. That's quite understandable. So please think, Bharat, up to now, quite successful. Now you have great potential, further because of the success, and make example or model of the rest of the world about non-violence, about religious harmony and democracy. Good? Next.
Thank you, Your Holiness.
Looking at where the world is going, where living in a society where working for the society before working for the self is easier said than done. In a place where love and peace are just two utopian worlds, how do you feel our generation is not going to make the same mistakes that the generation above us has?
Self-centered attitude is actually due to short-sightedness. Long run, human being, social animal. One individual's interest for long run entirely depend on the community. So, too much self-centered, selfish sort of thinking is short-sighted. So we must use human intelligence properly, as I mentioned before. Of course, altruism, taking care about others' well-being, does not mean you forget your own interest. For your own interest, the best way to fulfill your own interest is taking care of others, that you get maximum benefit. If you forget interest of the rest of the people, think only you yourself, and even your own family. If someone could just think yourself and exploit as much as possible within the family member, how can your family be happy family? That's fact. So the selfish, self-interest way is narrow-minded due to lack of knowledge about the reality. That's my view.
And deep respects and love, and thank you for coming. May I say, please come back.